Morning, everyone. Welcome to our Unit 6 discussion. I hope you guys had a good weekend. I enjoyed my weekend away camping with the family. It's good to be back. All right, so this week we're going to be talking about regulation standards and record keeping. There's a lot that goes into this aspect of sterile processing. So here are our objectives, excuse me, for Unit 6. We're going to talk about mostly talking about like how to keep track of everything that is used, the testing that comes with like the sterilizer loads, etc. Um, Talking about the industry standards for those types of regulations. So here are our assignments for our Unit 6 for this week. Um, Notice you've got a big one here, 90 points on professional development type paper. So just to give you a heads up there, and then like always, make sure you're doing your first initial discussion post by Wednesday and responding to two peers by Sunday. Some of you are still missing the two peers part. I know like the second half of the week tends to get busy, but just keep track of that because we're wrapping up our unit, our quarter essentially. So you have after this week one more full week of assignments to get in, and then the week 8 or unit 8 is just a like a 2-day week, basically 2 or 3 day week that we're just going to be wrapping up things. So keep that in mind, looking ahead. Okay, that's why I put this here. We're going to look ahead for next week as well, because sometimes in the past some of my students have um, not looked ahead, I guess we could say, and didn't realize how much is due really the week before the quarter closes, because you have two very large 100-point items here that are due next week. Okay, so this is not for this week, this is for next week. You also have your workbook, typical discussion, so there's a couple extra things here that you don't want to miss. So it kind of seems like this might be repetitive, but they're two different items. So make sure you get both of those, the Unit 7 comprehensive knowledge check and the final exam. Both of those need in, okay? You don't want to take zeros for those. All right, so plan accordingly. All right, so let's talk about record keeping. So what is the importance of record keeping and sterile processing? Why is this something that we have to talk about? Well, for one, the biggest issue really is if there's an issue with a sterilizer or a sterilized item later, it's important to be able to look back and check what happened. There should be a log, a record of anything that was sterilized. So here's a picture of what your record keeping logbook may look like. This is from 3M. There might be other brands, okay? But every time a load is run, there's going to be a record of it, of the time, the date, who did it. Your initials will be attached to that. Okay, what was in that load. So if something happened to that load and it failed, let's say it didn't make the sterilizing standards, it didn't meet the standards, you can go back and look and see why. And you can see if any other items maybe got put on the shelf that need pulled. You can't use those, right? So that's one main reason why we have to do this. So the FDA is actually surprisingly one of the proponents for making sure those standards are met. They set forth those types of things. So I think typically most of the time we think the FDA is more on the food side, but it stands for Food and Drug Administration, but it also has some play with medical equipment. Okay, so they are responsible for classifying medical devices according to risk, which is going to then change or affect how we would sterilize or process an item. So they say a class 3 item is the highest risk. And when we say risk, we basically mean like risk for infection. So an implant or something that we're going to take like a hip implant or a knee implant or a pacemaker and put it inside the body, that is a high risk level medical device. So those have to be sterilized. Okay. They also affect Reusable devices. So labeling reusable medical devices for reprocessing in healthcare facilities is a document that they set forth or they created that is going to emphasize safe reprocessing. Not all items can be reprocessed. Maybe they're too delicate, maybe they're just the one-time use type of thing. So they have a document that explains that. They also are responsible for issuing recalls on devices, maybe like an implant or a stent that we put in a vessel. They can issue those types of device recalls. So the CDC also plays a part in regulations and standards. We've heard a lot from the CDC, I think, in the last couple years. We're probably tired of hearing of the CDC, to be honest, but they do have some play here in sterilization as well. But overall, their goal is to promote health by preventing and controlling diseases. So they're going to do that in a variety of ways. First thing is that they developed the first recommendations for isolation technique and infection control. So they've set those guidelines and standards that we should follow to isolate something that is contaminated, prevents the spread, which is infection control. Okay, so they're not necessarily what we call a regulatory agency. So they don't set like laws by any means, but they set guidelines that could affect laws, that could affect the other regulatory agencies. But typically, hospitals, healthcare facilities are going to be setting those types of guidelines that they'll follow. So one of those is a guideline for disinfection and sterilization in healthcare facilities. Okay, so that's just a guide for how we would sterilize and clean specific items. So another agency that you've probably read about by now, or we've talked about, is the AAMI, or sometimes they call it AMI, just for short. It stands for the Advancement of Medical Instrumentation. So central sterile processing definitely would make good use of their regulations. They reference them a lot in their types of practices. So it is a membership group that you could be a member of, but they are really important in developing new standards or making sure that they are up to date on the most, like they've done their research, those types of things to make sure their standards are accurate. Okay, so they publish those standards and documents, and they are going to be, like I said, the most widely used resources in central supply or sterile process. So record keeping, here's another good picture of one of those records like we mentioned before, but documentation is required at all steps of reprocessing. And we're talking about going through decontamination, the cleaning process, restringing those instruments to re-sterilizing them. That's the whole reprocessing part. So you have to make sure your documents are accurate, for one. That's important. If it's not accurate, there was no point in making that document, correct? They have to be legible. So some of you with the chicken scratch writing may struggle here. I've had a lot of students in the past that, they're super smart, but you can't read their handwriting. So sometimes that's a struggle for some people. So make sure it's legible, because it could be considered a legal document if it comes down to it, if something happens. It has to be complete. So if you omit certain information, what good is it, right? So if you don't know something, you don't know what to check, always ask. Okay, it's okay to ask. And also, make sure you get the right, like there's two different pictures here. One is specific to steam. The other one is for the gas sterilizer. So the ETU is gas sterilizer. So make sure that you pull the right one. All right, so here's another picture of a type of record, a record envelope. McKesson's a super common brand for sterilizing and medical equipment in general. So monitoring is another type of record keeping. Monitoring the loads, okay, monitoring the water quality. You have to make sure that that water quality has like the right pH or the right amount of things in the water. Like where I live, if I just use the water out of the tap, I probably wouldn't even drink the water out of the tap, to be honest with you. So you want to make sure the water quality is accurate. Ultrasonic cleaners have to be monitored, making sure they're working properly. Everything that we've talked about so far will have a record for it. Chemical disinfection monitoring. Are the right chemicals being used? Are they not expired? When did you put them out? There will be records of those types of things. Process indicators we've talked a little bit about, but remember there has to be an internal chemical indicator as well as an external one. So if we're talking about that rigid casket container for instruments, there will be that strip on the inside, usually turns black or maybe green. That's your internal chemical indicator. And on the outside, there's going to be usually one on each side that also goes, ours go through like a little hole, and when you pop open the sides, it cracks it. So it's like a seal. You would know if it's been tampered with. So it has two purposes, really. And then you're always going to have this physical monitoring for all of your sterilizers. That's going to be your time, temperature, pressure, and usually you can have a little digital printout that might go with your record. Okay. And then the biological indicators for your sterilizer is the most important because remember, the biological indicator is the only one that can truly tell you if something was rendered sterile, not the chemical indicator, the biological, because with the sterilizer, if it goes through with that biological indicator, goes through its incubation period that's been read after, it could be anywhere from 3 to 24 hours. And that indicator, it came back with no spores growing, we know it's sterile. If it came back after that monitoring period and there were spores from that biological indicator, let's say Geobacillus stereothermophilus, and those spores grew, that load cannot be considered sterile. So it is one of the most important when we're talking about sterilizers. So some other things you have to keep with your sterilization load control numbers, specific to the sterilizers. You have to know the sterilizer number. These are all things you're going to put on your sheet, your log. The cycle number of the day, the date, where it says Julian date. This is a weird one, and I don't love it, but it's still used in some places. The Julian date is the numbered day of the year. So like January 1st, the date would be first day of the year. February 1st would be like, 32? That's the Julian date, right? 31 days in January. Or they could use the regular format month, day, month, year usually is what it would be. But if you ever see the Julian date and it's just like a random number, like to me, I wouldn't know like what day November 11th was in the year, like how many days has it been? I wouldn't know. I'd have to look at a calendar. So to me, that's not the most effective way to write the date, but a lot of people still do it. So other things you have to record on the log sheet, the load control and lot number, the cycle number, like we talked about over here, date, time, specific item being sterilized, especially if it's like your immediate use steam sterilizer. You may just have the one thing in there. It's easy to just write one thing, right? Exposure time, your operator signature, you always have to put your name with, if something comes back that, only loads with this person's initials are failing, maybe it's an operator error, okay? Maybe they need to have a little bit more training. The response of the biological indicator has to be recorded after it's met its exposure time, whatever it was, and the response of the Bowie-Dick test, which remember is that daily air removal test, the DART test. So I wanted to put this in here, this video on the 3M Attest biological monitor, since it's one of the things we have to keep record of, and how that you would read and record that type of biological indicator.
When it comes to sterilization monitoring, 3M Attest biological indicators have been providing leaders like you with trusted results for over 40 years. The 3M Infection Prevention Solutions team understands how every minute matters in your mission to provide sterile and safe instruments for your patients. The longer it takes to confirm that cycle conditions were adequate to achieve sterilization, the greater the risk of delayed surgeries and instrument shortages. In an emergency, you may need to use implants before lethality has been confirmed with a negative BI result, which puts patient safety on the line. If only you could have the speed you need while delivering the safety patients deserve. Now you can. The 3M A-Test Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System empowers you with the information you need when you need it. Know sooner. Know for sure. 3M A-Test Biological Indicators, helping you do the right thing for patient safety. The 3M A-Test Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System is a super fast, reliable way to monitor steam sterilization processes in healthcare facilities. A-Test Super Rapid Biological Indicators, or BIs, dramatically decrease turnaround time by providing true biological results faster than ever before. 270 degree Fahrenheit vacuum-assisted BI incubation time is just 1 hour instead of 3. Faster turnarounds make it easier to comply with sterilization guidelines, which helps you provide the highest standard of care for every patient. The 3M A-Test Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System includes biological indicators and challenge packs. 1492V brown cap BIs and associated challenge packs monitor 270 degree and 275 degree Fahrenheit vacuum-assisted steam sterilization cycles. The system also includes the 3M A-Test Auto Reader 490, designed to incubate and automatically read the results of 3M A-Test Super Rapid Readout BIs. Other biological indicators are not compatible and cannot be used with this auto reader. Setting up and configuring your 3M A-Test Auto Reader 490 is simple. First, place it on a firm, level surface near an outlet, away from sunlight and incandescent light. The A-Test Auto Reader 490 comes with multiple power plugs for use in different countries. Select the plug appropriate for your country and insert it into an AC grounded outlet. If you plan to use the A-Test web app, connect the supplied Ethernet cable to an Ethernet jack. Once the unit is plugged in, allow it to warm up for 30 minutes. When proper incubation temperature is reached and the A-Test Auto Reader 490 is ready to use, the C1 caution code will disappear. When you press the information button once, the LCD display gives the A-Test Auto Reader 490 serial number, the version of the embedded software, and the current date and time. The bottom row shows the configuration for the BI incubation wells. Press the information button twice to display the IP address if the unit is connected to an Ethernet jack, and the date and time that the Auto Reader 490 was last powered up. To save counter space, auto readers can be stacked 2 units high. Before configuring the wells, make sure the Auto Reader 490 is empty. Press the info and alarm off buttons on the front of the unit simultaneously and hold for 3 seconds to enter the configuration mode. Next, use the up and down buttons to program the clock, buzzer, and incubation well configuration you want. The alarm off button acts as an enter key and moves the flashing cursor to the next changeable setting. Be sure to apply the color-coded sticker that matches the auto reader configuration that you need. Your A-Test Auto Reader 490 is now ready to use. Let's look at how to activate and incubate a super rapid BI in the Auto Reader 490. The first step is to remove the BI or challenge pack from the sterilizer. If using an A-Test Super Rapid Readout BI challenge pack, if desired, scan the 2D barcode on the label to record product catalog number and lot code. Open the challenge pack and allow the A-Test Super Rapid BI to cool for 10 minutes before activating. Check the process indicator on the cap of the BI. A color change from pink to light brown confirms that the BI has been exposed to the steam process. Be sure to label the BI with the sterilizer, load number, and date. Wearing safety glasses, place the A-Test Super Rapid BI in a matching color-coded A-Test Auto Reader 490 incubation well. Make sure the flat side of the vial faces the back of the auto reader. Press the cap of the A-Test Super Rapid BI down firmly to close the cap and crush the glass ampule. Immediately remove the BI and visually verify that the glass ampule has been crushed. Then, Flick the vial to cause the purple growth media to flow to the growth chamber at the bottom of the vial. Return the activated BI to the incubation well and check the LCD panel to confirm that the vial is properly seated. The auto-reader LCD panel will display a series of asterisks, then the remaining incubation minutes right below the incubating BI. Now, all you need to do is wait for the result. Never remove an incubating A-test super rapid BI until you see a plus or minus sign on the LCD panel, which indicates the test is complete. The moment a positive result is detected, you'll see a plus sign on the LCD panel directly under the incubating BI. If the sound feature is enabled, you'll also hear an alarm, which you can silence by pushing the buzzer alarm off button. If the audible alarm is disabled and a positive result occurs, the LCD display will flash. To stop the flashing, press the alarm button. When a processed BI returns a positive result, it indicates a failure in the steam sterilization process. A negative result, which indicates a successful sterilization process, will only appear at the end of the full incubation period. At the end of the 1-hour incubation time for 1492 VBIs, if a negative result is detected, you will see a minus sign on the LCD panel directly under the BI. Each day that a processed 1492 VBI is incubated, activate and incubate an unprocessed 1492 VBI as a positive control. The positive control should be from the same lot code as the processed biological indicator. The positive control BI should provide a positive fluorescent result. After a BI test is complete, the next step is to record your results. You can use traditional record-keeping methods or the 3M A-Test Autoreader 490 web app. The 1492 VBI is normally discarded after the fluorescent result has been recorded. But if you're conducting a special study, you have the option to further incubate 1492 VBIs for a visual pH color change result. In the case of the positive control BI, you will see a yellow color change of the growth media and/or non-woven material within 48 hours. Any evidence of yellow color within the vial indicates a positive result. In the case of a processed 1492 VBI, a color change from purple to yellow of the growth media and/or non-woven material indicates a sterilization process failure. A negative pH color change result, where the media and non-woven material remains purple or blue, can be assessed after 48 hours of incubation. The 3M A-Test Autoreader 490 offers additional functionality online. Once you connect to the A-Test web app, you can remotely view the current status of incubating BIs using a computer or smartphone. The web app also allows you to remotely view and configure A-Test Autoreader 490 settings, view results for the last 100 BI tests, save records for your electronic files, and print records for your paper files. To connect to the A-Test web app, follow the step-by-step instructions in the A-Test Autoreader 490 Operator's Manual. Once connected to the A-Test web app on your computer or smartphone, you'll see the status page, which provides a real-time view of the A-Test Autoreader 490 configuration and LCD panel display. The current date and time and Autoreader 490 serial number are also displayed on this page. From here, you can navigate to a history page showing the results of the last 100 BI incubations and results detail pages by clicking on the well number of an occupied well. The A-Test web app makes it easy to create records of BI test results. After inserting a BI in the A-Test Autoreader 490, open the results detail page for that BI by clicking on the corresponding well number from the status page. Enter the specific information for that BI in the empty form fields. Once the BI result is available, print or file the results detail page to create an individual record for the incubated BI. The Autoreader 490 stores results for the last 100 incubated BIs on embedded software. The web app history page provides a summary of these results. The A-Test Autoreader 490 can be configured using the buttons directly on the unit. But you can also configure the unit remotely using the A-Test web app. Go to the configuration page to customize the incubation wells. Enable or disable the audible alarm and assign a nickname to your A-Test Autoreader 490. To learn more about using the A-Test Autoreader 490 web app, see your operating manual. The 3M A-Test Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System works fast, which can reduce the risk of emergency release of instruments and implants. This helps to keep you compliant with CDC, AORN, and AAMI guidelines. Greater speed can also quicken instrument turnaround, which translates to better start time accuracy and case duration rates. And with faster instrument turnaround, you may not need to purchase or maintain as many instrument sets. Surgeons getting what they need when they need it. That leads to improved surgeon satisfaction. As surgical delays decrease, patients may be more satisfied too. Should a recall ever occur, having a prompt BI result can help you take action faster. The A-Test Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System also offers peace of mind. You know the OR will have what they need faster than ever. And you know that every patient under your watch is more likely to receive the highest level of sterilization assurance possible. The A-Test Super Rapid Readout Biological Indicator System is another great innovation from the 3M Infection Prevention Solutions team, delivering you peace of mind by helping you do the right thing for patient safety. Need help using the A-Test Autoreader 4?
Let's stop it there, but hopefully that give you a good idea of how those biological indicators are used and how they're going to be read and recorded, because that's all going to be something you have to do daily. Because they're super important, like we talked about before. The only way to make sure that a load has been rendered sterile. They pointed out a lot of great things there at the end about how, it could improve surgeon satisfaction, patient satisfaction, turnover times, even maybe reduce like cost by not having to keep so many instruments on hand. So I thought that was interesting that they pointed that out to you.
490 and
All right, so that concludes our Unit 6 discussion. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You guys are doing a great job with that. I do have office hours today, or we could try to make something else work if that doesn't work for you. So hopefully you guys have a great week, and I will see you next week. Bye.